There was a great story during the war. There was a base south of Greenwood where they wound up letting the landowner retain his house, sort of right in the middle of the base, or you want to call it a base, but the landing field. And just so viewers can understand this, even though these were sod landing fields, they did build sort of primitive control towers in some of them, and there were usually one or two buildings there for the caretaker. They'd need to have someone there to cut the grass, and if this were going to be used for night flying or something like this, the air base would send a crash crew down, so there'd be a crash truck there, and they would have a radio in the little control tower, and they would have temporary lighting, so they could even set up runway lights on these grass fields for night flying training. But in this one case, south of Greenwood, the family that owned the land was allowed to sort of remain there, and the mother was an extraordinary cook, and she fell in love with all these aviation cadets, and they had large trees around their house. And it gets pretty hot in the Mississippi Delta in the summer. About August, it's pretty unbearable. And if you're in an airplane that's soaking up a lot of heat, you can get really, really hot. And these guys would pull up and swing the planes around and park kind of near these trees in the shade, whatever they could find. And they had a water boy there who would literally bring water out to the planes. Well, this woman just couldn't stand it. She started baking pies and cakes and things. And these cadets would get out of the planes and go in and sit down and have a snack with her. And she kept a big guest book, and it was like a who's who was in the Army Air Force at the time. They loved this place, and they were, the commanding officer, of course, clearly this was a sort of a breach of rules, and they would actually post a lookout in case the director of flying training came to check them out, so they could all jump back in their airplanes and get about the business of training again. But she literally ran what they loosely termed the officers' club off base, and these guys would hang out in her kitchen. It's a great story.